players are deep in the thick of things with just championship points, trying to get that Worlds invite. And I think Xander is really hoping for those last few points to hit that 350 championship point mark, and trying to do it with a Mew VMAX deck that is just innovated yet again. We saw Xander just popularize the Aerodactyl V-Star in Mew. Now there's something new that we might see.
We're gonna,
Lugia.
I know, we got to keep that one under wraps for our viewers. A little bit of mystery going into this next one. But when you're up against one of the powerhouses of the metagame, if you're relying on something a little bit cheeky, sometimes their aggressive start just forces you off of that plan. But Xander starts off with the Pidgeot V in the active, and Isaiah starting off with the Stoutland V. Going to bench a Lugia V as well. Manual attach of the Aurora Energy to discard an Archeops, already off to a fantastic start. Just going to pass the turn. We're over to Xander.
A ton of items in the hand, and already kind of giving away a little bit of what is kind of going on in this deck. Pidgeot V, with its Vanishing Wings, shuffles itself back into the deck, and all cards attached to it if it's on the bench. So maybe it's a little bit of a giveaway, but there might be some deck out shenanigans here.
This is a definitely new way to approach the Mew matchup. Typically, we've seen the aggressive style, we've seen now the more disruptive defensive style, and Xander's just taking that to its logical extreme. We have a new fatigue win condition kind of slotted into the list, and we'll see he's at 4-0-1, so it must have been going good for him so far. Ultra Ball discarding the boss's orders and a collapsed stadium. Just going to take a look at the deck. Despite having this late game fallback plan, you're still going to focus on your natural Mew and Genesect setup. Start drawing a ton of cards.
Yeah, the hand's looking pretty good, except for the fact that it was just 2 Ultra Ball, a little taxing on your resources when you don't have access to that Fusion Strike system. But the Hisuian Heavy Ball able to find a Pokemon, you have the Ultra Ball in hand, get another Genesect, or you can switch cart that Pidgeot V out of the active spot. Don't really need that right now.
It's going to be great to see this strategy maybe come to fruition later on in the game. If Isaiah, recognizes what the implications of this Pidgeot V are, we could see a much more aggressive idea come through. As long as you get, your attackers set up, get up and running, you should be good to go. Xander on, of course, that Path to the Peak, trying to lock things down as soon as he completes his own setup. Another Ultra Ball comes through, discards the Switch Cart and a Cramomatic, just finding these Genesects, finding the Mew, and Xander's just doing what the list is supposed to be doing. This is the first order of business, Jeremy.
Yeah, you just need to find, well, I was about to say you need to find some Fusion Strike Pokemon, but I don't know if 3 Mew V is going to be what you want to see here. Double Turbo Energy to go along with it, so you have the energy for turn, but discarding a few resources with those 2 Ultra Balls is going to prove a little tricky as the game gets going, but Path to the Peak is a pretty good card against Lugia V-Star.
Yeah, lock them down. You drew a little bit of cards with the Genesect V. You don't mind taking that your own abilities offline because you know that there is a very specific board state and a punish you're trying to bait out from Isaiah. As we go over to his side, we get the Evolution Incense down. This is going to find the Lugia V-Star or maybe the other Archeops, depending on what the other pieces in the hand are looking like. Archeops is being eyed down here.
Yeah, well, with the way Isaiah started their turn, the Aurora Energy discard the Archeops, it kind of signals that, well, you do have a supporter in hand. You're going to be able to get stuff going on the next turn, and Xander has to hope that this Path to the Peak sticks in play.
See a Capture Energy there. We have the other Archeops now. Manual attached to the Stoutland V. When we look over at Xander's list, typically when it comes to single prize Pokemon that you maybe could double dip, we've got Oricorio as well, and we'll see what other single prize Pokemon happen to jump out. A lot of times these Mew VMAX decks, when they're running the path, they run their own Pumpkaboo, so they can kind of get rid of the path when they absolutely need to draw those cards, but we'll hopefully get into what Xander Pro has cooked up indeed. But after the shuffle here, Isaiah just needs to start putting on some pressure, I think. The Pidgeot V is still stranded in the active, has to find its way back onto the bench before it can shuffle back in. And the Professor's Research comes through. Orangaru's a nice pickup as well. We can see one more card this turn.
Now, do we see that Lugia V-Star? We do, but is there a way to get that Path to the Peak out of the play area? Does not seem like it.
Yeah, looking at Isaiah's outs against the Path to the Peak, we've got the Pumpkaboo and a lost vacuum.
Yeah, that's it. No other stadiums in the list. Most of the popular lists for Lugia, we've seen 2 lost vacuum at least, but Isaiah is playing an Irida that you can search it out later on, and with the Primate Wisdom, did not find a bump for that stadium, and Xander did exactly what he needed to do. Although that Path to the Peak is still in place, so you can't even use your own Fusion Strike system.
Yeah, with 5 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, it'd be great to draw, get a few more resources here. Just has to pass back. The Pidgeot V is also stranded in the active. Isaiah's got one more draw to maybe make this happen. There is a Marnie in hand to try to dig and see.
It's going to help out both players here. Xander didn't really have much in that hand. You don't really want that 4th Mew V and all that went along with it. Oh, well, that
5 cards.
That's an out in Xander's hand. That hand is insane.
And Isaiah now still not really looking for what he needs. Primate Wisdom finds another Evolution Incense we can thin down, maybe try to set up for next turn, but it's always so terrifying, right? When you're getting locked out of the game and you're giving your opponent so much free time to get established, draw into their outs, finish their stabilization and working on their deck's idea, that if you feel like you're getting bricked for another turn, it puts a lot of mental strain for sure.
Now with the Quick Ball in hand, as long as that Pumpkaboo is in the deck, so that is an out for this Path to the Peak. You can get that Summoning Star off, get those Archeops in play, and start your game plan.
Just, once you get the Summoning Star, you want to get the attack. Maybe Isaiah's trying to wait for a better line, something to combine with, perhaps a boss, maybe take down a Genesect rather than taking down the Pidgeot V. Since once the Path to the Peak is gone, it's going to allow Xander to draw a ton of cards, so maybe there is that wait and see sort of line that Isaiah might be going for to find a better target. But here comes the switch cart. This allows the Pidgeot V to go back onto the bench, and Lost City bumps the Path to the Peak to open up the Vanishing Wings ability. Pidgeot V is going to shuffle itself back into the deck now. And with the path out of the way, Isaiah will have access to Summoning Star, but Xander's just going to now open the gates on drawing tons of cards. It's now with the Genesect V hitting the bench, we draw back up to 6. Forest Seal Stone also found. And I think that after the Path to the Peak bought some time, Xander's going to take advantage of this opportunity now to open this game. There is the Cramomatic, and it's a heads. Going to find one more card. What do you think is the final piece missing here, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's definitely just been an insane turn. You got to get that Mew VMAX in play, and from there you can 1 damage modifier, take the knockout on the Stoutland V in the active spot.
Cramomatic finds the Ultra Balls. We can thin down this hand a little bit more, gets rid of the Oricorio, doesn't want to have that in play as a liability versus Stoutland V. And you already got your full bench, you've got your full setup, and with 3 Mew Vs to choose from, it's going to give you a lot of attacking options and potentially Psychic Leap down the road.
There is it.
Yep, finds the VMAX, so that's all set up. We've got the free retreat to pivot off of this Mew V in the active, and we're going to try to just fight down this Stoutland V. We've got Choice Belt potentially. Just needs a little bit of help, right? No, it's exact. Technoblast.
Well, no, you're minus 20 with that double turbo energy.
Oh, yeah, the double turbo.
We will need a damage modifier in Power Tablet or Choice Belt, and ooh, last card off of that Fusion Strike system for 6 because, you don't have that Pidgeot V anymore.
All right, beautiful. Power Tablet. Xander just thinking, do I want to pull the trigger on this now? But just swaps up the Lugia.
Yeah, completely mistaken. He bossed up the Lugia V-Star, so no more knockout here. You need more Power Tablets.
Okay, so we've got 1 Power Tablet in the hand. Going to try to buy another turn here.
Well, I think with the way things happened, you won't be able to take the knockout. All those Genesect V have used their Fusion Strike systems, and you can search out 1 more with that Forest Seal Stone, but not having the second of the 3 needed to take the knockout. So just having the 220 damage on that Lugia V-Star, and Isaiah is going to have to work through some stuff. But hey, no Path to the Peak in play. At least that's a plus.
Precisely. Xander was really hoping that on the turn I get rid of the Path of the Peak. I'm just going to open this deck wide open, get all the pieces I need, and go for the kill. Even with the Forest Seal Stone, you know, finding that extra piece, it wasn't enough. We needed way more damage modifiers to get over this Lugia V-Star. And now Isaiah is going to get access to the Summoning Star, and we'll just have to see, you know, is there still enough pressure from just a classic Mew VMAX to keep up from this point? Because it wasn't like Xander was truly punishing anything Isaiah was doing, it was just delaying his own setup.
Yeah. And Isaiah's eyeing down that Yveltal. It is one of the big ways you can take a knockout on a Mew VMAX. It has 310 HP, so it really taxes your powerful colorless energies with your Lugia V-Stars. And the fact that you have an Aurora energy on the active Lugia V-Star means you're kind of limited in your secondary attackers as the game goes on. So we see the Yveltal here, and it's going to be a big commitment to it, but it does get 3 prizes.
And then after the V-Star, 2 Archeops coming onto the bench. And this is going to be Primal Turbos being tapped, both of them. And after these attachments, we should be good to go. Even if Xander gives up 3 prizes here, as long as, you know, Lugia V-Star goes down and the Yveltal goes down, there's still not too many great attackers for Isaiah. And as you already pointed out, Jeremy, this is still a lot of resources being expended. And once all this energy goes to the discard pile, Isaiah is going to be really scraping the bottom of the barrel to find another attacker to get those remaining prizes.
Yeah, and to think about it, you also have to retreat the active Lugia V-Star. That's another energy as a resource, but I do think Isaiah put the Aurora energy on top of the deck with the Primate Wisdom, so you can search it out with your second Primal Turbo energy, and that is just smart thinking. That is what you need to do when you draw those energy in hand with Lugia. You'd rather them in the deck, and that's why Rangaroo is so powerful.
And with the double turbo and that Aurora from Rangaroo being attached to the Yveltal, it is now all decked out and ready to go. We just got to get this Lugia V-Star out of the active spot. There is, as you said, Jeremy, the escape rope in the list, maybe Irida to find it.
Yeah, but if you do not want to escape rope right now, you want to take that big knockout on the VMAX, and if your opponent Xander is bringing up a V and you're using that Yveltal, that is not what you want to be doing.
So after the manual attached with the capture energy, Lugia is going to be able to get out of here, but maybe just thinking, is this really the right line? Do I just want to sprinkle some damage here, maybe try to bait out a Psychic Leap? Xander's okay with dealing some chip damage to this Lugia V-Star, maybe picking up those prizes later. With a deck like Mew with the Genesect V, you're drawing so many cards, you can find those outs when you need. Isaiah just going to pull the trigger now on the Professor's Research, gets rid of the Pumpkaboo and the Radiant Charizard to get 7 fresh cards.
Yeah, it's a big discard. Again, it's just your attackers that you need later on in the game. But I guess with all the Aurora energy basically taken up, it's going to be really hard to attack with that Radiant Charizard. So here's the amazing destruction. 3 prizes for Isaiah now.
Halfway there, but we've seen this over and over again. Players get that first knockout and just cannot find the resources to get the next one. There's a Mew VMAX in hand for Xander. Can get the evolution here, just needs to find another double turbo. We still have Forest Seal Stone active to find any missing piece that might be needed to complete this play. Also remembered to send that Mew VMAX there to the Lost Zone because of the Lost City.
And there is the Roxanne. We have seen it not do a lot of work in the last round, but Xander's hoping to, you know, do a little bit better.
Yeah, we had a pretty big hand, but it just wasn't enough. We're going to just shuffle that back in, draw some cards, and hopefully we'll get some outs into Ultra Balls or Chromatics so we can thin down even more and set up for the Genesect Vs. And Isaiah, with, you know, the Yveltal in play, with the Archeops set up, being reduced down to 2 cards isn't too big of a detriment. It all comes down to if another specific attacker is drawn and is forced to be relied on is where it becomes a sticky issue.
Off the Roxanne, Xander did
There's
find
the Chromatic indeed.
Double turbo energy, so we'll be able to at least get an attack off this turn without being forced to use that Forest Seal Stone. And now you just have to be worried about a huge, powerful, colorless energy and choice belt play from Isaiah's side of things.
This is the other 3 prize cards now sitting in the active for Xander. And if you can force Lugia, right, to draw into very specific outs like that, I think you can take that chance pretty confidently. Just going to go for the quick ball, find some UV, thinning down even more. The deck's even pretty tiny here. We thought that there was, there's speculation of that Pidgeot V, anti-deck out technology, but at this point, I think that Xander's just kind of back on the main game plan. Just drawing a ton of cards, getting these attackers down, just going to close out the game nice and natural. Drawing back up to 6 now with that first Fusion Strike system.
Does find a copy of Echoing Horn, another card that is often in and out of these Mew VMAX lists, but is pretty helpful in just trying to clean up those last 2 prizes that you need in most games.
Ooh, just reestablishes the path to the peak, doesn't need the other Fusion Strike systems, and gets the knockout. 1 prize for Xander, 5 more to go, but that's 1 less attacker for Isaiah. Stoutland V comes into the active spot, has 1 attachment already, but 3 retreat cost. So it's just going to be a little bit of extra damage coming in off of this 2 prize Pokemon. Deal some chip, perhaps.
Yeah, and the path to the peak is beautiful here because Isaiah's hand was just a Lumineon V, being able to use that Luminous sign for any supporter in the deck, but with no access to that, going to have to rely on this Primate Wisdom, but finds a Marnie off the top.
Beautiful. Another card, another lease on life, trying to fight out from this position, trying to claim those last 3 prizes. It's so bizarre to see a player that's ahead on prizes and seems to not be able to close out.
And I do like this sequencing from Isaiah so far, but is there even enough powerful colorless energies left in the deck? It does not look like it, just a V-Guard and the double turbo.
Yeah, there's 1 powerful colorless in the prizes that was already grabbed, and then there's Aurora at the very top here, but without Lumineon's help to shuffle those back into the deck, it gets very, very dicey to try to keep your Pokemon powered up.
We're getting a little wild here, Adam. Some wild tackle from Stoutland V. Not what you want to be doing, but when you're at this position, you got to do what you can, and this is what Isaiah can do, is 200 damage. 180, I guess.
180, yeah. After the Marnie, just shuffle that back in. We're putting Xander on another 4-card hand. But it doesn't matter. Like, the Marnie doesn't hurt Mew that badly because you're just going to draw more cards anyway with the Genesect V.
You got that path to the peak in play, though. So with 2 lost vacuums still in the prize cards for Xander, that is your way to bump that path to the peak, even your own path to the peak most of the time. So
yeah, the Lost City was already used to bump the first path. So now Xander's like stuck here, and we'll see if the lack of card draw can really, come back to bite this Mew VMAX list. Has the double turbo energy to attach to the other Mew VMAX. Could see a nice pivot.
Yeah, well, that's needed. You need to get this Mew out of the active spot because it used Technoblast on the previous turn. And you do need to take the knockout on the Stoutland V. Thankfully, Wild Tackle did some of Xander's job for himself. 30 damage onto that Stoutland V, but that V-Guard energy is preventing the KO. So thankfully, the Power Tablet in hand is kind of perfect. But from there, if Isaiah has a boss's orders and then just enough energy to attack with Lugia V-Star, the game is over.
And that's unfortunately the situation that Xander finds himself in. We have the attackers, we have the setup. It's just about, do I have enough time? Do I have enough turns to get these knockouts? He started by just knocking out Evital, which was nice. Takes a lot of energy out of play, but can Stoutland V really go the distance? Grabs the knockout with the Power Tablet. Oh, it decides not to pull the trigger on that, just wants to deal the damage, leave Stoutland V up. So we've got 2 big damaged Pokemon in play right now for Isaiah Cheville, and Xander's not worried about being behind on prizes. It looks like just going to set up a turn to take a lot of prizes back to back.
Part of me can't tell if that was Xander forgetting to play the Power Tablet or just making it to where Stoutland V is going to have to knock itself out to do some damage, and then you just clean up the following turn. Xander still needs 5 prize cards, though, so that means the knockout on the Stoutland V, knockout on the Lugia V-Star, and another Pokemon. But wow, all 4 powerful colorless energies on the Lugia. Do we see the choice belt? There's the choice belt.
Beautiful.
And that is game 1 here. Isaiah taking down 2 Mew VMAX, saving those powerful colorless energies until the very last turn.
Yeah, knocking the Stoutland V didn't matter. It really just came down to the fact that we didn't have the damage, right, to hit that Lugia V-Star when the opportunity arose. And Lugia just barely able to scrape that one out. It seemed like things were really coming down to the wire. That door was just about to slam shut, and Isaiah took advantage of that opportunity. And now Xander, kind of gave away the Lost City, the Path to the Peak idea, the Pidgeot V. Isaiah's going to be prepared for that. Maybe going to come out swinging from the gate a little, maybe even faster.
Yeah, well, it's all about that Path to the Peak sticking in play. Xander didn't really have a hand to keep it in play and still set up to get that attack off. So was forced to bump his own stadium, get things going. That allowed Isaiah to open things up with Summoning Star, and from there, it really just took 2 attacks.
Yeah, the Path to the Peak didn't really foil Isaiah's game in any major way, because Xander couldn't capitalize on the delay of the Summoning Star. The Lugia V, the V-Star was just sitting there, was just waiting for the path to go away. We didn't see any pressure where Isaiah was scrambling to find a way to bump that stadium. We're just going to go, well, this is kind of fine because my opponent's not drawing a zillion cards with Fusion Strike system, so I'm just going to chill. And as we head into game number 2 of this best of 3, Isaiah's at a massive advantage here because, as we know with Lugia, you can maybe get your path down, you can maybe delay their setup one good time, but if you miss a beat, that Ultra Ball, Archeop, Summoning Star combo can come roaring out of the first couple turns, and then you're going to be immediately on the back foot.
Quadruple Turbo in the prize cards for Xander.
Unbelievable.
And Pumpkaboo in the prize cards for Isaiah. So just one way to get a Path to the Peak out of play in that lost vacuum. We'll have to see if it comes up.
But with Mew V starting off in the active, Xander's going to kick things off with a Quick Ball. You can find Genesect V, going to take a look at the rest of the deck, see where the prizes lie. And if you were in Xander's position, are you going to try to go for that Pidgeot, grindy, stally game plan, or are you going to just try to be more aggressive with the Mew V Max?
Well, the way Xander's kind of built the deck, it's all reliant on what your opponent is going to do. And unknowingly or knowingly, Isaiah played around Xander trying to do that. What we've been talking about is basically there's a Dreepy in this Mew VMAX deck, and it has a attack called Infestation that does 10, and then your opponent can't retreat. So if there's something like a Pumpkaboo on your opponent's side of the board, you bring that up, you do 0 damage with your Mew VMAX, and from there, your opponent cannot retreat. And so something like Bird Keeper or Escape Rope are your only outs.
And so if Isaiah does take the bait, does find that peak in order to get that Summoning Star, then Xander has the punish. And we'll see, again, if Isaiah, gets into that situation where maybe that Pumpkaboo's not needed. Xander had the Path to the Peak, but just the trap was just sitting there and was not sprung.
Yeah, a little awkward here, having to discard the one Choice Belt in the deck just to get set up. But now finally actually getting a nice setup. At least you have 3 Genesect V, but no second Mew V to go down, and just passing the turn back.
So we're over to Isaiah, and Lumineon V is in the active spot. This one is a little bit more awkward to deal with because it has low HP. It's very vulnerable if you don't support it and maybe try to get that Aqua return down immediately. Irida's going to come through. This is going to find an item card and 1 water Pokemon. Finds a second Lumineon V. And we're eyeballing some other option here. This is still early in the game. Typically when I see Irida, I just think immediately of like Radiant Greninja Battle VIP Pass, right? But
Capacious Bucket or
exactly.
Something like.
This is finding something completely different.
Yeah, it's going to find that Lumineon V for next turn, and I think this is signaling that maybe the hand's not as strong for Isaiah. We'll be able to find an item here, so maybe something like a Quick Ball to get another Lugia V out. We see there, yeah, it does. You got another one in hand, and double Archeops in hand as well, thanks to that Evolution Incense.
All right, Quick Ball to discard 1. It's looking good so far. Lugia V found off the Quick Ball. And with, kind of an awkward hand, kind of a rocky start for Isaiah, the Path to the Peak is, again, it's a card that if your hand is kind of bad anyway, it's not locking you out of anything. So by having a shakier start, it also kind of insulates you from the trap of the Dreepy that Xander has set up. But he's just maybe clawing his way out, right? Has the 1 discard on the Archeops already, has the Lugia V, a second Lugia V to protect versus boss. So I think that here within the next couple turns, Isaiah is going to be up and running, and then Xander maybe can try to spring that Path to the Peak trap once more. are back over there now on the MUV side. Switch cart is found. Echoing Horn waiting in the hand, not doing much.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Isaiah kind of plays this out, because he held on to the Lumineon V, so that could be signaling that I still just have support. I played the Irida so I can get the double Archeops in the discard, get those 2 Lugia V out.
Tails on the Chromatic. No find there. We still have Forest Seal Stone. Going to discard the Switch cart with the Quick Ball. Thin the hand down a little bit. Find one more MUV. Completing the setup. Now this deck runs a 3-4 line, a 4-3 line of MUV and MUV Max. Those still need to be found. Getting some early prizes off this Lumineon V would be very helpful.
We do see Xander hold that Collapse Stadium in hand. Definitely want to play a Path to the Peak at the end of this turn over that Stadium, but it is going to clog up the hand a little bit. And the important part to know, too, is Isaiah is playing the Irida as a way to search out for that lost vacuum. So it's a searchable way to get rid of the Path to the Peak, but since Isaiah's already played it, it's going to be a lot harder to get this Path to the Peak out of play, especially with the Pumpkaboo and the prizes.
So Xander might just be able to jump out ahead and just play the Path to the Peak and have that as a natural lockdown for the opponent. I remember the Path to the Peak, the Judge into Mew is the classic evolution of this list when it wanted to become a more disruptive defensive style deck. And Xander has to keep all of the different strategies that Mew VMAX has basically evolved to have access to in mind against Lugia V-Star, because as you said, that the Dreepy line is very dependent on what the opponent does, and now you have to also have a strong read on the quality of your opponent's draws and the speed of their game plan and react accordingly. So the V-Star power is also going to be used here with the Forest Seal Stone to find that missing piece. It looks like Mew VMAX is what Xander wants to start coming out of this turn swinging.
Interesting to see it used before something like the Judge in the Path, but you will shut off your own Fusion Strike system that you have left. So you kind of just guarantee this Mew VMAX, have the Path to the Peak there, and could be, maybe we don't even see the Judge being played this turn just because Xander has that Lost Vacuum in hand, and yep, that's what it was.
Yeah, I think that with the Path to the Peak set up now, there's 2 Lugia Vs in play. Xander loves the timing here of the Path to stop the Summoning Star. The Archeops is already in the discard pile. Gets 2 prizes, and then, you know, we have an option now to say, well, there's 6 prizes in play right now, and perhaps I can take enough time to just take those prizes at my leisure. With Oricorio as well, it forces a lot of more resources out of Isaiah with the powerful colorless energy and the choice belts to get over that extra little bit of damage.
Yeah, Isaiah just read the wind, passed the turn back. That Path to the Peak was putting in a ton of work. That Lumineon V turned off in hand, and now Xander's got the green light to get going, get these knockouts.
Yep, immediately uses the Lost Vacuum to get rid of the Path to the Peak, then Judge. Drawing, after shuffling the hand, going to draw 4 more cards, hopefully getting some more things we can thin down. There's 3 Fusion Strike systems to draw into the perfect outs here to take down the Lugia V. We just need 1 damage modifier to get around this double turbo energy. Hopefully the other Mew VMAX as well, so we can get the proper retreat to get around the Technoblast.
One card that also could help is something like a Switch card. There is a heavy count of them in Xander's list.
All right, 1 power tablet found.
Well, it's getting a little scary. Going to have to Lost Vacuum your own Forest Seal Stone to get rid of that Battle VIP pass in hand, just so you can draw some more cards.
And this is the window of opportunity. Xander has to blindly extend, find that source. 3 more two more draws. Another power tablet. The other power tablet wasn't used to get another card here. Is trying to save these for a follow-up turn against the second Lugia V. Is counting on just knocking out a Lugia V here and then saving the resources to knock out a Lugia V-Star next turn.
Oh, it looks like he...
Did he brick something?
So I think he Genesect, but only drew 5. And he's supposed to draw 6. And then this one, because he has 5 cards in hand, using the second Fusion Strike system, you're supposed to have 6 with these 6 in play. This is what happens when you run so many non-Fusion Strike Pokemon in the deck. You really have to be cognizant of all the things, and it looks like quick fix here, and
yeah, so
what
he's
a fix
plus 1 card.
Yeah, the 6th card was the Cram-O-Matic that he saved the
And it's
Battle
heads!
VIP pass for.
Oh my goodness, the quick fix is now a quick cram, finds the card that he was missing.
The switch card will allow Xander to retreat and then play it to get back that Mew VMAX in the active spot. Already having played the Power Tablet, like you said, will be able to take the knockout on the Lugia V in the active. Now, the only thing missing is that last path to the peak, so Isaiah's going to have a turn to try to Summoning Star here, unless... Okay, no. Maybe it'll happen again. Who knows?
Yeah, so Double Turbo Energy goes onto the Mew V. There's the boosted Techno Blast onto the Lugia V. 2 more prizes for Xander Perot. 2 remaining to bring us to a game number 3, but Isaiah, now with his back to the wall, has 1 Lugia V in play. Needs to evolve this into V-Star and Summoning Star this turn before another path comes down. Has the V-Star in hand. But even with all of that going to his point, the Mew VMAX still requires a lot of resources to take down. It's going to be the scoop. We're going to game 3.
We still have time to see it, Adam, and I'm excited. Xander has really just been innovating Mew VMAX as a deck throughout the past few months. And honestly, just as a deck in general, has seen some of the most changes we've seen for an archetype throughout a metagame.
Before, when Mew VMAX was the sole proprietor of ludicrous amounts of draw, great damage output, tons of search, as the meta has evolved and new decks and archetypes have been released, more and more decks are also matching it beat for beat when it comes to the amount of resources that they're able to only see but also accelerate into play. And this means that Mew has evolved to use its resource generation as a means to disrupt the opponent and become more reactive, more flexible, and you know what parts of the list you can give up. And it makes so much sense when you really think about it, how this list has sort of adapted to play to its strengths in a new way. And so the Dreepy still waiting in the wings.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it comes up in this game. Looking at the prize cards, nothing too bad. Double Turbo Energy and a Mew VMAX to go along with the Genesect for Xander. And one of the 2 Luminions for Isaiah there.
Isaiah opting to go first, has the Oranguru sitting in the active spot, just going to immediately open with the Primate Wisdom to see 1 more card. Got an Archeops now in the hand. We can discard that with the Ultra Ball or the Quick Ball.
That was a perfect Primate Wisdom there.
All right, there it is, Quick Ball.
I thought you were going to pass for a second.
No, we're just trying to think about the plays here, Xander.
Quick Ball goes on to the Archeops, discarding that. Looking through the deck, seeing what's missing. We do have the Lugia V that can be found. It's like a pretty easy pick. Players having a little bit of a chat at the table, of course. They're still really enjoying themselves. This is game 3, round 6 of the Swiss. There's a lot on the line for both these players, but at the end of the day, they still love playing the Pokemon card game.
Yeah, and still plenty of time to actually get a solid conclusion out of this game 3. 17 minutes, just a little over.
Yeah, because, Mew typically eats up the clock because you're drawing a ton of cards, but Xander playing a much more lower-paced style, not drawing too much, just putting the path of the peaks down.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Adam, you can't say lower pace when Xander's going to start off with a Battle VIP pass, and this hand is stacked to all knows what.
So with the Battle VIP pass, there's going to be 2 Genesect perhaps found just to draw some more cards. Some players like to hedge. They find 1 Genesect and 1 Mew V. But no, finds the 2 Genesect here. You're just going to draw into the second Mew V. It's totally fine. Cram-O-Matic here. Hit that heads. There was never any doubt. When you get the Battle VIP pass, it's already a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, you're just going to get another one.
Another Battle VIP pass found. Beautiful. Switch cart was discarded to the Cram. Second Battle VIP pass, and it's all set up. Now we've got Mew VMAX in the hand. Maybe another Genesect can't be found off the Fusion Strike system. And Xander's off to the races. This is one of those turns where Larry just got done saying maybe eats up a little bit more time here as we kind of start ticking down on the clock.
Yeah, you even have a Judge in hand, so that can be very helpful in disrupting the hand for Isaiah. Holding basically everything, just playing the Quick Ball after Primate Wisdom, but we see the Ultra Ball that can get things going with the Lugia V-Star or finding something like an Archeops. And from there, who knows? So Xander has to do everything in his power to make sure, all right, I got to get a good setup this turn, energy on him UV on the bench, and then have that Path to the Peak in play like he just played down.
Beautiful. So the setup is complete. The lockdown happens. Isaiah is not going to be able to get the evolution into the Summoning Star without bumping this Path to the Peak. And here in game number 3, this is the sort of high-pressure situation where you want to force your opponent into the Pumpkaboo.
Yeah, but at that point, is it enough time? It is a great game 1 play, or a great game 2 after winning game 1. But game 3, 15 minutes left. You're not doing any damage, and you're relying on your opponent to play a little fast. Maybe it's not going to be the best thing here, but Isaiah opening things up.
Yep, just has the Dunsparce, has the Ultra Ball to discard that. And unfortunately, there's not another really good card to discard to this Ultra Ball, but we have to find the last piece. Boss's Orders goes away. This is really hard to be able to get around a VMAX, maybe find 2 remaining prizes, but Lugia V-Star is found, but no Summoning Star just yet. Xander has the Judge in hand as well, so if Isaiah's trying to set something up for next turn and Xander picks up on that, the Judge is going to come right through. And we heard, of course, earlier from Evan Campbell how important the Judge is to really counteract the Oranguru plays.
Well, no Judge here, just the Marnie from Isaiah, and is needing to find a way to get this Path to the Peak out of the way, and it looks like Quick Ball might do that.
Powerful in the hand. Capture energy, a lot of energy in the hand it seems. So we have to rely on Oranguru to get these back in. No Lumineon V to use just yet. Still only 1 Archeops in the discard pile as well. So we'll see if Isaiah might be really, really feeling the heat and be forced to pull the 1 Archeops from the discard pile that some players do from time to time. It never feels that great, but you have to have a really big read that that's all you're going to need to close this out. And when you're staring across the board at all these Mew Vs and the Genesect Vs, I don't think that's a viable option.
Well, I guess he's hoping to have just a repeat of this game 1 that we had, where you're going to pass with that Path to the Peak. If you can't bump that Path to the Peak, you're going to be drawing just as bad as I am. And it looks like Isaiah's doing exactly that. But wow, Lost Vacuum off the top. Collapse Stadium was also in hand, though, so a couple ways now to get rid of that Path to the Peak for Xander.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the Mew VMAX. Just need to be found off this Ultra Ball. Thinking about using the Lost Vacuum first.
It's basically what resources you're going to have to get rid of, and it might be this entire hand here because...
Yeah, it gets rid of the Judge to the Lost Zone.
Finds the double turbo energy off the top, so now with the Ultra Ball, we'll have the knockout with a Mew VMAX and get things rolling here.
There's the Mew VMAX off the Ultra Ball. We have the attachment now. And after getting rid of that Path to the Peak, sending that to the Lost Zone, we now have access to the second Fusion Strike system. After these attachments happen to draw some more cards, Xander would really like to see another path here to reestablish that lockdown. We're going to draw 4 cards now. Cram-O-Matic is a great choice.
Not very many options this card. You can do that Quick Ball.
And he's on a tear. Another heads, another Cram for that final piece to keep the strategy of this deck alive. Path to the Peak being grabbed immediately out of the deck after this shuffle. The Summoning Star will get denied for another rep. And Xander Pro going to jump out by taking the first prize of game number 3.
It's that main character energy, basically. Xander's just reaching down deep.
There's the path. And here it is. The Techno Blast takes down the Oranguru. Or just barely. No, it does. What am I talking about? Don't listen to me.
So Xander has the option of maybe Glistening Droplets with the Oricorio, and I think that's what we're going to see here.
Next level plays, keeping the Oranguru stranded in this active spot.
Yep. Place 5 damage counters any way you like on your opponent's Pokemon. 4 on that Lugia V-Star, 1 on the Oranguru. That means a Max Miracle can take a knockout with the double turbo energy without any power tablets needed. And it makes that Lugia V-Star even easier to take down later.
That was what Xander really stumbled on in the first game, was not being able to knock out that Lugia V-Star. This chip damage is really going to help as we wind down here. 11 minutes left on the clock, still plenty of time to reach a satisfying conclusion, but Isaiah is still locked down by Path to the Peak. trying to get eyes on the hand here, Jeremy. Do we have an out to the Pumpkaboo still?
Well, there is that quick ball. It's just, I believe it was in the prizes last game, so should have access to it. But again, it's a cost to play it down.
Now that Mew is going to start using the glistening droplets, you don't have as much time as you'd like to just sit back and be locked out by this path to the peak.
Because you really need to play it when you're going to get a good attack off. Take a knockout on your opponent's active Mew VMAX. And I think with the attachment here, we're just going to see another pass, most likely, yeah.
All right, passes back over. We get Primate Wisdom back. Path to the peak in play, and Xander isn't going to have access to Fusion Strike system, but could, again, just sprinkle some more damage with the glistening droplets. Keep that timer going. Keep that clock going. More splash damage coming through.
Yep, and Xander is able to attack because you didn't use Technoblast the previous turn. Usually that's what we see with Mew VMAX. You need to reset it in the active spot, but Glistening Droplets has no downside to that. So
Mew has evolved so much, it's looped back around to become Lost Box somehow. Just throwing the damage counters down. You love to see it. And this is what we were talking about, Jeremy, right? Where Mew has so many tips and tricks and tools to utilize, and if you keep an open mind to some of these other lines and paths to victory, it can really help you. And here it is, Isaiah being forced now to find that Pumpkaboo. Shout out to the Halloween promo with the Pumpkin Pikachu mark on there.
Yeah, and this will be able to bump that path to the peak with its Pumpkin Pit ability when you play it from your hand on the bench, discard a Stadium in play. And this now opens up a line of play for Xander. If things get dire, you can bring out that Dreepy.
So Marnie does come through. There is still 8 minutes left. It's going to be the fastest passed back times 40 that we've ever seen to get to the deck out scenario. But Xander's feeling pretty comfortable here, right? We've got the chip damage on both on both Lugia V-Stars, and we can easily bulldoze through this Oranguru. Xander still hasn't taken any prizes, however. So right now, that's 5 prizes marked. But after Summoning Star comes through, there's still only the one Archeops to use. We've been focusing so much on whether he'd be able to Summoning Star, we didn't actually talk about the result yet, Jeremy. After all of this time, still only one Archeops. I believe it was like Quick Ball on turn 1 was the only thing that was able to find that discard pile.
Well, we're going to have to work with one Primal Turbo for this Game 3, and Isaiah's hoping it is enough. The double turbo energy in the V-Guard on that Lugia V-Star. Oh, wow. Thankfully, had the double turbo in hand to retreat that Oranguru.
And this is where things get dire. This Lugia V-Star has to do tons of work, and it's not going to be a one-turn knockout. Just 180 damage here onto the Mew VMAX. So you're halfway there, but Xander now, with no path to the peak in play, can start using the Fusion Strike systems, keep drawing through, looking for those power tablets, and get the KO that was denied him in that key first game. I don't even remember. It's all a blur now.
They're all games, for sure.
It was one of the games of all time.
Yes. Power tablet found off that Fusion Strike system, though. So with that and the Forest Seal Stone, doing some math, I think you still need the 3. Yeah. So that's 2.
Okay, yeah, Forest Seal Stone, 1 power tablet. Still have 1 more Fusion Strike system as well. Doesn't use the power tablet first. Not going to make that mistake of trying to extend and maybe run into that brick wall. Just draws 1 more card. Has the Cram-O-Matic. It's come up heads every time. And there was never any doubt. Finds the boss's orders off the Cram-O-Matic.
This will be able to take out something like the Archeops or the Lugia V-Star on the bench now, especially you don't have to go through the V-Guard energy anymore, and I think that's what we're going to see Xander most likely do here. Because, again, 6 minutes left. You need to start taking some prizes.
Yep, there's the boss's order to take out the Archeops, just taking away that ability to set up a new attacker. He knows that the Lugia V-Star can be taken down at any time.
Now, this is going to be kind of leaving this Mew VMAX in the active spot would hurt a little bit. Gives up 3 free prizes to your opponent. But you'd also rather this get damaged and knocked out than your fresh Mew VMAX take some damage.
Yeah, we're thinking about the retreat here. Just keep that damage Mew VMAX in play. There's, of course, not enough damage to do Psychic Leap or anything like that. You're just shuffling that back in, and then there's the damage Archeops. Just make sure your opponent cannot use that Primal Turbo, and now we've got the undamaged Mew VMAX in the active. This is going to be a game where you aren't just going to take a lot of prizes and end the game. You're just going to restrict Isaiah's options to take prizes off of you, and then the game becomes a bit of a foregone conclusion. Isaiah's got Lugia V-Star back in the active, and all of his hopes and dreams riding on this poster child Pokemon for the list.
Yeah, the big bad of the format and trying to hold on is Xander. But Isaiah, no Energy Excel anymore for this game. You have to rely on energy attachments from your hand. And that is tough work to do when you're powering up that Tempest Dive from Lugia V-Star. 4 energy. You already used both your double turbos now.
No way to recover those. We've got Radiant Charizard and an Aurora Energy, so the pieces are there maybe to help out on that attacker, but it only deals 250. Still can't take down a VMAX. And even if you get, a Mew VMAX knockout, maybe a Genesect V knockout, you still have to find that remaining prize. And this is all the while Xander is able to start, beating down on you with the Mew VMAXs. So after the boss's orders brings up the damaged one, looks like we will still be able to get those 3 prizes regardless. And those 3 prizes are going to be immensely important for Isaiah here. Finds a Professor's Research, finds another Archeops. So we have a shot at seeing some fresh cards, maybe finding those pieces if we need them. But once things go over to Xander, he's got the Power Tablet, the Ultra Ball, discards the Dreepy. That technology not being employed for this best of 3, very big shame. But again, it's more of a punishment for when your opponent truly, truly pops off. And Xander was able to get the Path of the Peak down very early and very consistently in every single game. And Isaiah was only forced into the Pumpkaboo here in this game when everything was down to the wire.
Now again, Xander has to go through that V-Guard energy and is doing some math here. That Power Tablet will mean you do 220. Now you need to find at least one more, then you can grab the Power Tablet with Forest Sealstone, but I believe that's going to be basically all of them in the deck.
All right. Yep, just draws 1 card off the Fusion Strike system, is forced into the Forest Sealstone to find the Choice Belt to get that boost. So 1 Power Tablet and 1 Choice Belt to try to get through the reduction of the double turbo energy and the V-Guard. There's the Path to the Peak to reestablish any sort of shenanigans here, turning off Lumini on V for Isaiah, and gets the knockout. 2 prizes for Xander. And we've got 1 Lugia V-Star with a powerful colorless energy on it as the next attacker, but no way to accelerate to it. Xander's taken 3 prizes, so the Charizard, the Radiant Charizard, still going to need a little bit of help.
Oh, I forgot about the other Power Tablet. Played at the very beginning of the turn. I was like, that's not enough to take the knockout, but it was. The Power Tablet at the beginning of the turn to go along with the Power Tablet that was just played and the Choice Belt.
Gotcha. Just making sure everything's all syncopatico here at the table. There's so many eyes right now on this game, so much pressure. 2 minutes left on the round in game number 3. Xander just needs a couple turns, right? Just wants to be, turn 1, turn 3, get the knockout. We've got the Lugia V-Star to give up 2 prizes and some other single prizes being promoted here. Isaiah going to send the Pumpkaboo up to the active to try to buy some time. Evolution Incense as well, trying to find an answer here.
Yeah, it's pretty important that Xander found the other Mew VMAX from the prize cards. It was the last one, so if he didn't have that, would need to find a switch card just so you can attack yet again.
And having that pivot up to get around the Technoblast is super important. Quick Ball comes through as well, just trying to thin down the deck. And once you're looking in the list, you're just taking stock of what can I possibly do? How can I possibly close out this game? We have the Stoutland V as well. Oricorio is a nice single prize Pokemon that might be able to be taken down with the Double Dip Fangs. Is there even enough energy, however? I'm starting to wonder at this point.
How are you going to charge that thing up in 1 turn, Adam? Come on. It's 3 energy to go. No Archeops in play. This Radiant Charizard is going to have to put a lot of weight on its wings here.
Yep, and after the Professor's Research, 7 fresh cards in the hand. I see a Choice Belt. I see a Boss's Orders. but we still have to wait. The Pumpkaboo's just chilling in the active. Isaiah has to kind of pass the priority over to Xander.
Oh, there is the Echoing Horn going to bring up that Stoutland V. That is an easy 2 prize cards without needing any other thing, just because you already have that Choice Belt on your Mew VMAX on the bench. And such a quick turn from Xander. I believe it was like 12 seconds or something like that. Was able to play all the cards, get the knockout, and now this means, barring any quickness from Isaiah, Xander is going to be turn 1 and have at least 2 turns to close this thing out.
Beautiful. Beautifully navigated. Knowing that the timer is running down, you have the board state and the resources to close out this game. It's just about executing it. Isaiah's immensely on the back foot. On this turn, we can attach to the Charizard. We can attach 1 to the Lugia V-Star, try to attack there, but this is going to be it. You can only attach to this Radiant Charizard. And, well, actually, no. With the Excited Heart now, it's finally active with that final prize that was taken.
Not with the Path to the Peak in play.
God. Oh my! I'm trying to think of every possible out, and even Xander's hard countering me on the desk. He's thought about every possible out, every possible opportunity. I'm making up fake plays here, Jeremy, to try to help out Isaiah. You know it's dire.
Listen, Adam, that's my job. That's what you got me for. And Xander's hand is stacked as well. I believe time was just called. Players are confirming Isaiah is turn 0. You get 3 more turns after turn 0. And Xander's hand, there's quite a few boss's orders in there, if I do say so myself. And that will clean up the game with that Stoutland V. And I don't even think there's a way for Isaiah to get this Path to the Peak out of. The Lost Vacuum was not found, and
yeah, Pumpkaboo was already used much earlier. There's a Marnie for a little bit of disruption. Going to try to put those bosses back down onto the bottom of the deck. And we'll see if Xander maybe just has some other resource here to bump this Path to the Peak. I think he still has access to Lost City. It seems like such a blur at this point, Jeremy.
Lost Vacuum
That'll do.
And Lost City. An embarrassment of riches. Just needs to find that boss's orders that was put on the bottom of the deck, and we'll have to sequence things right to get it done.
All right, Lost Vacuum. Not going to use the Lost City here. Just gets rid of the path because the Vacuum lets you get an extra card out of your hand. Going to play the Lost City down after that just to get another card out of the hand. We've got 2 Fusion Strike systems here. The Forest Seal Stone was already activated for Xander.
All right, that is pretty important with the Quick Ball, Ultra Ball Draw, and a Cram-O-Matic. Can we see it 5 for 5?
5 for 5. Let's see it, Xander Perot. It's off the screen.
Oh, well, if it's off the screen, it's got to be a Tails because we don't see the search of the deck. Yeah, no combo meals here. 5 for 5.
Ultra Ball thinning the hand down even more. Going to fail that. There is still a Mew VMAX in the deck, but just wants that extra draw regardless. It's the same difference, right?
Biggest thing is having the boss's orders being shuffled back into the deck because they were on the bottom thanks to that Marnie. And like I said, there was the rest of the copies in Xander's deck was in hand. So get the deck shuffled. Your last Fusion Strike system here for 5. Is there a boss's orders? It is there, and with that, Xander will be able to take the game here in Game 3, Turn 1 of time, bring up that Stoutland V from the Echoing Horn, take the knockout, and go to 5-0-1.
Beautiful. It seemed like Xander had that entire best of 3 planned out from Game 1. He had set the trap with the Path to the Peak. Isaiah didn't fall into it with the Pumpkaboo early. Was only forced into that on game number 3. Has the Echoing Horn technology to be able to find those prizes. Isn't fully committed to this fatigue game plan, right? He's also thinking about how can I just take prizes and play to the natural strengths of Mew. What a fun evolution of the list, and it's good to know that it can still play its classic line.
Yeah, Mew VMAX still does Mew VMAX things. Fusion Strike system is still one of the best abilities we've seen ever. And being able to draw through your deck every turn is pretty good.
And the fact that you can run Fusion Strike system and counter it and just turn it on and off like a light switch, Nosferatu, with your Fusion Strike system, and just bump it whenever you want. It's so cool to see because you get to draw a bunch of cards on your turn, deny the abilities on your opponent's turn. Not only are you delaying the Summoning Star, you're taking Lumineon V out of the equation, and we know how important that card is to Lugia V-Star because it allows you to cycle those energies back into the deck when they get stranded in your hand. It allows you to find that Professor's Research that you might need to discard those Archeops. And Isaiah just never got a strong setup in any of those games.
Yeah, and again, that one Archeops there in Game 3 kind of spelled disaster from the start. Just not being able to have that energy acceleration, and the fact that Xander was playing this list with 3 bosses orders, you're gonna be able to bring up that Archeops no matter what, and we saw Xander do just that, take the game 5-0-1, 1 win away from locking up day 2 here in Knoxville.
Incredibly impressive, and it's good when you have that strong tech. You're playing something classic, you spiced it up, you've redressed it for this new metagame, and it's paying off. This is another player that is continuing to innovate when we think that, you know, Lugia V-Star is the end-all be-all.
Yeah, and honestly, I love it when Xander cooks because he's a great chef, you know? So and anytime you see a deck from him, it's going to be something sick. So I want that Dreepy. I want it to work, you know? Like,
we're going to have plenty of chances. Trust me, Jeremy. We're just teasing the audience right now. We gave them a little taste of, you know, the trap of the Dreepy, the Pidgeot V, and, you know, the players now, they know what's up. And after seeing the way that game played out, it's only a matter of time before somebody has to get that path to the peak out of the way. That was just one Lugia player of many. There's going to be plenty of opportunities, right, to just, you can't Summoning Star, and the player's going to be, well, I have the Pumpkaboo technology. Could you imagine, right? I'm smart. I brought the Pumpkaboo. I know to beat Path to the Peak, and then you get punished for it, like giga punished for it. Not only are you going to lose the match, you're going to lose it in probably one of the most tilting fashions.
Oh, yeah.
So Lugia players, you have to have a meeting. You have to choose amongst yourselves and draw straws. Which one of y'all is about to get locked down by the Pidgeot Dreepy trap? Just you have to pick one, and they have to take one for the team.
At least for that match, I believe Cremamatic was probably MVP
Oh, God.
there. Those 4 heads in